Greetings and felicitations.
Hip hip hurrah, tally ho.
I'm Nayar,
And I'm Kavora.
and today we're going to teach you how to play an exciting card game that you can play anywhere. Fluxx. Fluxx is a game that can be played between 2 and 6 players. Also, players could jump in at any time. You don't have to start right at the beginning. It's a fun game that lasts between 5 and 30 minutes. You could literally win within a few hands, if your luck is right. But there's also some tactical strategy on how you play cards, and how the game functions and fluctuates the rules throughout the evening. That's why it's called Fluxx. The game is never consistent because the rules constantly change. And there are dozens of different themes, from Doctor Who to Star Trek to monsters to chemistry, Firefly, it goes on and on. We're going to demonstrate using the Doctor Who deck. And what I love about these decks is that they actually have not just the characters, but there's also the flavor of the show, and with regards to whatever series you purchase. Everyone starts out with a basic rules card. The card always stays on the table. The rule begins with draw a card and play a card. Every player starts out with 3 cards, and they're blind cards. The only time you show your cards on the table is if you get either a keeper or a creeper. I'll go over the different types of cards now. A keeper card is the green labeled card. You're going to notice that it has a green border on it, and you're going to keep this card in front of you at all times so that all the players can see what you have. Your creeper card is another card that is going to be in front of you at all times. Keepers are very positive. Creepers, for the most part, are not. They hinder your gameplay because if you notice, the text says, you cannot win unless the goal says otherwise. That brings us to, how do you win the game? You win the game by reaching a goal. The goals change constantly, and you as the player can dictate what the goal is. This goal says you have to have a combination of K9 and Sarah Jane Smith. There are other goals as well, and they constantly change depending on who plays that card. So the goal is to have a keeper within these combinations. Sometimes a creeper will come in with that combination, but overall, a creeper means you can't win the game unless it's stated so on your goal card. Like I said, you draw a card and you play a card. So your table is going to have your basic rules, and then right next to it, a deck, and then your discard pile. Other cards that you're going to find are going to be new rule cards. This will allow you to change the rule. This one is draw 1, play 1. You replace this rule with draw 5, play 1. New rules are supplanted if you have one that trumps that card. But if you have a new rule that does not, it simply adds to the new rule. For example, this play replaces the play rule. So if these 2 cards were placed down, you not only have to draw 5, but you have to play 3. The game is a constant state of flux. Blue border action cards are one-shot plays. You follow the directions on the card and then put it into the discard pile. Surprise cards are the purple border. This can be played, and it really throws the other players off. For example, if a player was just about to win the game, you could throw down the surprise card and then change their tactics. Now let me show you an example of how you can win the game. For example, you would play a goal card. This goal is that you'd have to have a combination of River Song and the Pawns. Player over here, these are the cards that she has. She has a Dalek card, a Cyberman card, Second Doctor, and River Song. Well, she's one step away from winning the game if she could get the River Song card. But then another player, changes the rules. Now you have a different goal. You constantly changing the goals, looking for combinations, and trying to trump up your fellow players. In the same time, collecting cards and using combinations that you can possibly win. That's how you play Fluxx. Find the combinations of the right cards with the right goals. And the beautiful thing is, Fluxx does have upgrades. For example, for Doctor Who, if you want to keep up with the 13th Doctor, you could buy the upgrade pack and get cards that deal with the current Doctor. It's a fantastic game. It's quick to learn and has tons and tons of replay value. Definitely check out our podcast, StarPodTrek, to find out more about Doctor Who and Star Trek. StarPodLog magazine is always covered in our podcast, StarPodLog. We cover all sorts of science fiction from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and we always have tips on board gaming and toys. Look forward to playing with you at a con.